go. Here we go. Here we go.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1. Time.
Welcome to the Movement for Life podcast,
where we talk about ways that you can stay moving for your life.
My name is JR Jakeway.
And I'm Kolby Christophic.
This is our first episode officially for the podcast.
Let's just jump right into some stuff. This week we're going to talk about each other. We're going to learn a little bit about each other. But before we do, something that we like to do at the beginning of every single one of these podcasts is ask what we did to move in the previous week. So JR, tell me, what'd you do to move last week?
So this is going to count as movement. I actually completed my level 2 CrossFit course, my coaching course, and we did do a lot of movement in that. So it is 2 days. Each day was 7 to 8 hours of just learning how to be a better coach. So taking what we've been doing and then applying more efficient ways to cue people, how to look at an athlete as they're moving, and it was a really fun experience. And we did work out both days, so I definitely moved.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The level 2 is definitely an awesome experience. And if you ever feel like you are really good at coaching, go to a level 2 certification and you kind of get your butt handed to you. And you're like,
hey,
oh,
just
okay.
Me doing deadlifts with a PVC pipe, they pretty much ripped me apart. So
yeah,
I think like I not only came back as a better coach, but really understanding more things about myself, the way that I move. So it was a really great experience. I had a lot of fun.
Cool.
And
Great.
then what about you? What'd you do?
I actually ran a half marathon.
I saw that.
No training. Yeah. I've only been doing CrossFit for, 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week on a good week. I don't remember. I was trying to think about it the other day. I don't remember the last time that I ran a full consecutive mile. It's been a little while, and ran that half marathon with some friends. We finished about 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is not an incredible pace. But for somebody who didn't do any running training, I wore CrossFit shoes because I forgot my running shoes the morning of. Whoops. So I wore some flat CrossFit shoes and ran 13.1 miles. It was a ton of fun. And I'm so glad to be able to just say, hey, you want to do a half marathon? Yeah, let's do it.
And your body's not feeling a little certain way afterwards? I mean, I saw that you came in the gym the next day and PR'd.
I did. Yeah, my knees were a little bit sore from, I think, not wearing running shoes. Wearing flat shoes for that many miles when you're not doing that. My knees were a little bit sore.
Street, right?
It was some concrete, some asphalt. Most of it was asphalt, which is a little bit more forgiving. But definitely knees were a little bit sore going into Monday. But come Tuesday, felt great. Felt really, really good.
That's wonderful.
And yeah,
that's great.
And I PR'd that day on a lift. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know how that works. Maybe I should run more half marathons.
Maybe. Well, are you doing a full marathon coming up probably in a couple months?
That's right. Yeah. LA Marathon will be happening. And so that was a little tester. Can I handle a half marathon with just that?
You got this.
With no training. Cool. So let's get to know each other a little bit, JR. This will be fun for us too, because honestly, we've known each other for 3 or 4 months now, and there's still a lot of things that I don't know about you, and so I'm sure that I'm going to learn a ton about you in the next couple of minutes of our conversation.
Yes.
And we're going to split this kind of up into 3 different categories. We're going to talk about some educational background, some health and fitness background, and then just some like personal life. How have you moved around? How has life gone? Things like that. So I want to start with your educational background. Give me a little bit of insight in what your educational background or journey has looked like in coaching or in general.
In general, where I started out, my undergrad is in psychology, and I didn't really have a clear path of how I wanted to move forward after that. But then once I graduated with the undergrad, I decided I was going to do social work. So I went to grad school to be a social worker. And throughout the internship of my undergrad and then my internships in grad school, I had the opportunity of interning at anything from HIV STD prevention. I did CPS foster adoption placement. I
Mhm.
did protective orders, and then I did long-term care facility work. And it just didn't end up being exactly what I thought it would be. Not as much helping, but more, really just paperwork, covering your butt, with insurance and all the
Interesting.
all the things that you have to do to keep track. So if there's anything that could be liable, that you're recording that stuff. So I ended up just kind of moving away from that and going into coaching. And I feel like my
Did
background has definitely helped with my coaching career.
Yeah, did you coach, concurrently or start coaching
Yes.
concurrently while you
No,
were
the whole
doing
time.
social
Yeah,
work?
I started coaching when I was technically 16, not a paid job until 17, and so I've been doing that in addition to those other jobs. There was just a short time when was a full-time social worker that I did not coach, about 6
Mm,
months, and because I was not happy, I didn't feel fulfilled with the social work job, I got a part-time job coaching gymnastics, which I had been doing for a while, and I ended up leaving social work and just going coaching full time.
yeah, cool. What other kind of, um, coaching education do you have then?
So
What kind
for
of certs and
gymnastics,
and education? Yeah.
specifically for gymnastics, USAG professional member, and then over the years they have a USA National Congress, and that's uh, an opportunity for coaches all over the world to come together. It's usually held concurrently with USAG national championships, and it's a 3-day opportunity. There's everything from teaching babies how to roll to teaching the highest level skills on bars. And with certifications, there's like opportunities for get different gymnastic certifications. And besides that, I think that time as a gymnastics coach, working with some of the greatest coaches in the business has really helped with that career path. And that was something that came along long before I got into training and coaching at CrossFit and at fitness.
Yeah, and at what point did, gymnastics turn into some CrossFit too? Because we do that now too.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that it was probably around 2011, 2012 where I got introduced to CrossFit, and yeah, I mean, right away, I just loved it. It had all the elements of being a gymnast, competition, and that hard work that I remembered oh so well. A lot of the training was very similar to what we do in gymnastics, and I saw that there was a very close similarity to a lot of the skills that we were doing. So once I had been doing CrossFit for about a year, I went into get my level one, and it was from there I pretty much been coaching ever since, with here and there some breaks, but now it's full time. It's something that I feel like it has, like it is where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life. And I really enjoy working with adults, very different than working with children. Children are easier, in my opinion, to coach than adults. It's like, I just feel like it's one of these things that it organically just kind of evolved into. And I'm really happy to be where I'm at.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's see. What about you? Give me some of your health and fitness background.
Um, my journey kinda started in college trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I ended up switching from a physics major to a sports medicine major. Um,
Physics.
yes, and I changed out of a physics major because I was also a water polo player, and a physics class um, conflicted with a water polo practice time. And I went to the professor because it's a pretty small major at Pepperdine University. And so I went to the professor and said, "Hey, if I could convince all the other students in the class to change the time, can we change the time so I can still come to practice and still make class?" And he
Mhm.
said, "Oh, you're a water polo player? Why don't you do an easy major like sociology or something?" And I was like, "Wow, I don't know if I want to be a physics major anymore."
Right.
After that being the first interaction with one of the professors, so I ended up within that first year changing to a sports medicine um, major, and I had some of the most amazing professors in sports medicine. Um, and I ended up getting my Bachelor of Arts in Sports Medicine and a minor in Hispanic Studies. Studied in Argentina, lived with a host family, didn't speak English. So my Spanish might be a little bit better than yours or
It
on
is
par.
absolutely better than mine.
And then post college, I thought I was going to go into the fire department. I was coaching. I did an internship that I found through my professors for CrossFit. And Pepperdine University and CrossFit headquarters had a really close relationship at the time with some of our professors that did research with CrossFit. So I got to do an internship with the local gym, CrossFit Malibu, and then start my coaching journey from there. I got my level 2 in 2000 or level 1 in 2012. And then I thought, oh, I want to be on the path to do fire department stuff. So I was, coaching for fun because I really, really loved it. And then trying to get into the fire department. And, at some point I've figured out, okay, I want this fire department job so that I can have so much free time that I could own a gym or be at a gym.
Okay.
And it's at some point I decided why am I using the fire department as an excuse not to go all in on something like gym ownership or coaching? So shortly after getting my level 1, I think in 2014, I got my level 2. I also got the CrossFit gymnastics certification because I loved gymnastics too, which is one of the reasons I enjoy working out and training with you. We definitely have some similarities there.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as good as you in gymnastics workouts. You still crush me in those.
It's my only chance to get a win.
But after my level 2, I pursued a couple of others, like a USA weightlifting certification. I was just doing some of the CrossFit online courses. I did some, the level 3 I got in 2018. And I think the level 3 was a big step for a lot of people in the CrossFit realm for education. But it is a test. And I think because I had a 4-year degree in sports medicine, that level 3 certification was actually a lot easier than I had anticipated
I
because
heard
I
it
had
was
heard
hard.
how
I
I've
heard it was
heard how
difficult.
hard and hard and hard and hard it is. But I think that my 4-year degree in sports medicine was definitely something that helped me get through that. Basically, no problem. I did a little bit of studying, but I did a lot of studying in my 4-year degree.
Right.
And all of that was anatomy, physiology. I had neuromuscular adaptation to fitness. I had kinesiology. I had foundations of health and disease. So a lot of the things that were on the test were a blend of the 4-year degree and the experience that I had gotten in the CrossFit gym prior to. So it ended up going really well. I just actually renewed my level 3 after I've had these next set of years. I'll be a level 3 coach for 9 years, which is going to be a crazy amount of time. I've also pursued doing seminar staff for HQ. I've done a couple of internships with them. I now own the gym that I used to work at. As a GM, continue education. I've done a couple of different programs of foundations through Active Life. I've done 2Brain mentorship. So there's some other education that maybe doesn't have a certification, but definitely provides tremendous value for health and wellness coaching and whatnot, which is great.
Yeah, and along the same lines, gymnastics is very much in we have a lot of training and courses you go to that doesn't technically have a certification that I couldn't list. But I feel all that experience working with all those people, you work with seminar staff, and that there alone, you learn so much from them because they can help you with not making the mistakes that they made. That's the best part about having a mentor.
Yeah, when you talk about working with some of the biggest names in gymnastics, sometimes that's worth 1,000 times more than a certification or a piece of paper for sure.
Right.
Cool. Let's dive a little bit into some health and fitness journey.
Okay.
Give me some young JR. What did you do for health and fitness, and where you are
Oh no.
through your life, and then what are you doing now?
Oh, a young JR. That's a long time to think back at. Well, and I grew up doing gymnastics. In high school, I was no longer competing, so I moved on to tennis, cross country. But like I've just been one of those people who could always just run. I always loved it, so it was something that came pretty naturally. And then I ended up kind of getting back into gymnastics around the age 16, 17, which is then when I started coaching. And I think for me personally, I've always just enjoyed moving, and I wasn't necessarily a hyper child. I just like doing things. So the idea of working towards something has always been really fun, and I like challenging myself. I will say I'm not particularly good at most things that I do at first. And it takes me a lot of hard work. And I really enjoy the process of working through the things that I'm not good at to make me better. And then I really appreciate when I do become good at something.
Mm,
And I'm always encouraging people that it doesn't matter if you're not good at something when you start, you can really work toward being a better, none of us are without our faults. We all have something we got to work on in CrossFit or personal training or whatever you're doing. So if you love doing it, that's really the only thing that matters. And, it went
yeah.
down to I loved all the things that I chose to do. And for me, like as a person, I really have used fitness as a way to kind of have therapy for myself. I really
Mm,
like being able to go out on a long run and, have this internal dialogue with myself about maybe problems I'm having. When I was in school, long runs really served as a way for me to do homework. I'd take notes with me, or I'd
hmm,
like have a cassette and I'd be listening to like notes from class. For me, it was just a really nice way for me to get a lot of stuff done. But more so, it just kind of leveled me out if I was having a little bit of anxiety. Coming to
hmm,
the gym or going for a run was something that just kind of made me feel better at ease.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you said 16 is when you got back into gymnastics,
Yeah.
and then you both coached and did
Yeah,
gymnastics
so I
in
ended
that
up
time?
going and doing club gymnastics in college, and so I did it until I was
Mm,
24, and I was coaching the whole time, and I think that coaching made me a better athlete because when you are helping other people and you're able to spot flaws and make corrections, there's just if you're really aware, then there's no way that it can't then fold into what you're doing yourself because then you're more aware of those corrections and those things. So it definitely made me a stronger athlete. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the experience of being an athlete and being a coach at the same time was something that I really enjoyed. I don't think everybody can do that, and that's not for everybody. But I had to work in college, so I was
yeah.
kind of in a position where I wasn't able to choose, and gymnastics was a really great job that allowed me to do something that I like doing versus working in a restaurant.
Hmm,
Yeah,
cool. And then you kind of mentioned a little bit because you're not 24 anymore.
I'm not
Um, so
24.
there's so there's been a little bit of time between stopping gymnastics and starting CrossFit or even like into that CrossFit journey. It sounds like you've been doing CrossFit for quite a while now,
Yeah, like 11 years now.
which is pretty awesome. Is there Nah, I'll save that for our last question. I
Okay.
was going to say a future direction, but we'll save that for our last question.
All right. And then so tell me, for you, um, I think that you said you played water polo. Is that right?
That is right.
How did you
Yeah.
get how does one even get into water polo?
That's a great question. And we'll tease this in the next question too. Like I'm from Arizona. Like Arizona does not have water polo. California, like now that I'm here, California definitely does have a water polo presence. But I used to play all sorts of different kinds of sports: basketball, baseball, football, and then I saw an ad for water polo in the newspaper. Well, my
In
dad
Arizona.
in Arizona. Yep. And a friend was like, "Let's try this," and I didn't even know how to swim. Um, and I said, "Okay, cool. Let's go and do it." And I we went and tested our first practice. He was like, "All right, you guys got to learn how to swim, or let's see what our swimming is." And for anybody that's in the swimming world, my first 100-meter swim was like a doggy paddle, not a freestyle, and it was like 1 minute and 59 seconds. And anybody that's swimmer knows that
Knows. That's
that
not
is
great.
not yeah. And so we practiced with a very, very small team for a very long time. But I loved water polo, and eventually we played in our first tournament 3 or 4 years down the road. This was like when I was 9 or 10 that I started. Played in our first tournament in California because there was no other teams. There was no tournaments that were happening in Arizona. So we came to California and played. Then after playing in California, I liked playing so much that I kept playing, but I also started swimming as well because all my coaches were like, if you want to be good at this, you also have to swim on a competitive swim team. So I did club swimming and club water polo. And then I got chosen several years to play for the junior national team for water polo.
At what age
And
did
from
that
like
start?
2016, so that means I was 14. Sorry, not 2016, 2006.
Like, you're not that young.
No, 2006, which was I think 14 years old until 2009, until I was like 17 years old, which was a ton of fun. And during that time as well, I also started playing on a club team in California. So summertime, I would live with a host family, play on a team that was in California. And
Nice.
then in the school year, once a month, I would come train with a team or play in a tournament for a weekend in California. So I'd either drive out with my parents or they'd send me on a flight and say, hey, you got somebody picking you up. You're going to go play polo for the weekend and then come back. And so I did that freshman, junior, sophomore, junior, and senior year. Then I played Pepperdine University water polo for a couple of years as well. Outside forces or things that were not in my control. And after a stint of not doing anything, basically feeling bad for myself for my situation, ended up finding something like CrossFit. A friend of mine told me that they thought I would really like it. And I was actually running with them and they were like, a stupid good runner. And I was like, what? How are you crushing me? Like, I was a really, really good athlete. And like,
Yeah.
oh, I do this thing called CrossFit. Like, maybe you would like it. And at first, I remember my dad talking about CrossFit in high school and me being like, this is crazy. Like, I'm not ever doing this. This is like the dumbest thing ever. And he was like, back in the day, he was, that's cool. You should do it. And I'm like, no, I would never do that. And I actually did it in college. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. After losing something like team sports
Sure.
in college, CrossFit was an awesome piece for me to keep health and fitness up with a team aspect to it, because that's all I had known was team sports for all my life for health and fitness. And then I've been doing CrossFit as like my main training since 2012 now, so 11 years. And I like to learn new things. So I've been doing all sorts of different stuff. Did half Ironmans, I've done triathlons, done Spartan races, trail runs, backpacking trips, learned tennis, did a stint learning tennis, pickleball or paddleball as you call it.
Paddleball.
Surfing, all sorts of different things, but using CrossFit as my training to learn new things. So that's kind of been my journey for fitness, health and fitness stuff, which has been a ton of fun.
And I feel like we have similar stories in that we have done a lot of different things. Our backgrounds originally come from like a team-oriented sport, but I've also done half Ironmans, triathlons, tons of marathons, and I think that the people who like to go do different things, I think those are the kind of people who really enjoy CrossFit as well.
Yeah. And just being able to do all that diverse stuff, it just brings so much freedom, like just being able to say yes to stuff. And I love that freedom for sure.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, what is your favorite part about then working with people in and the health and fitness space in general?
This is a really great question. I am not somebody who is super, super, super passionate about working with competitive athletes. I love working with people who starting some sort of health and fitness journey changes their life like big time, a massive change in their life. So my favorite part about working with people in the health and fitness space is when they make the realization that this changed their life forever. That like light bulb moment is like the moment that I live for when I'm doing health and fitness coaching. And even like in my career is like, one of the biggest reasons that our facility exists is so that people have those light bulb moments, and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is something that is sustainable. I can do this. I am capable. And the confidence that comes from that um, just makes some really, really awesome humans. And definitely that is contagious. So if I can make one of those awesome humans, that awesome human wants to make some other awesome humans.
Do you have a certain like age group that you really enjoy working with more than the other?
I think yes, I do. But I think that those aha moments can come from any age group. And I've had experience with those aha moments in all age groups. As young as like 14, 15, up to that 65, 70 age range, of having ahas like, oh my gosh, like I will be doing this until I die now.
Okay.
Um, but I really like working with parents in their like 30s and 40s. That is my favorite group of people to work with, because life is crazy and difficult during that period. And if I can contribute positively to that time for somebody, um, it not only affects their lives, but it's affecting their kids' lives as well,
Well, I feel
which
like
is
you're
great.
learning to give them back their me time.
Yeah,
Like you're
for sure.
they probably spend a lot of time working for their kids and doing everything for their kids, and the amount of things that they get to do for themselves has pretty much dwindled down. So you're giving them an opportunity to, and you're seeing that they're realizing I can do something for myself. I need to take care of myself in order to take care of these other beings.
Yeah, and like one of those big ahas is like, hey, when I actually take care of myself, like I take care of these other human beings way
That's
better
right.
too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and I've got a question for you too, JR.
Okay.
I want to know what initially sparked your interest in the health and fitness field, or health and wellness, and how has your journey evolved over the years?
I feel like I was from a very early age one of those people who just enjoyed telling people what to do. So, I mean, some would say I'm quite bossy. And if anyone out there is listening who knows me really well, they're laughing right now. But I like to instruct, I like to tell people, and I felt very comfortable in front of people, kind of giving instructions. And I really enjoyed teaching my friends backflips all through like middle school and high school. I would just go up to people, hey, you want to learn how to backflip? Because I can teach you. And it kind of just started from there. And I, as an early coach, had that like fuzzy feeling because someone would learn something and they'd say that JR taught me this.
Mm,
And as I've evolved, it's been more about them doing something that they want to learn. It's not about like the success gratification from necessarily my end, though.
oh,
I
got it.
we get to appreciate their success when they do something, but I feel like I've just always been that person who wanted to teach and share things that I know. And so the natural just moving into that teaching space, I mean, as I initially started, I'd go to open gym, and it was at this gym that was primarily tumbling. A lot of cheerleaders went there, so it wasn't as much gymnastics as it was tumbling. And me and a bunch of friends would just go and just start like kind of getting back into tumbling, doing backflips and doing some of the skills I did as a gymnast. And then the coaches saw that I was coaching and I was spotting. So they said, hey, like, if you want to help out, we'll like let you come in for free and you can just kind of help and spot. And they kind of gave me direction and trained me a little bit on kind of where to put your hands when you're spotting. But to be honest, I felt like I was kind of a natural spotter. I'd been doing it now for years, but
Hmm,
I obviously was young and I needed that experience and them like an adult telling me, hey, this is what we need to do for liability purposes. And then it
yeah,
just kind of evolved from there. And I've just really always enjoyed working with a big group of people. I will tell you, I do enjoy working with large groups versus like one-on-ones. I know one-on-ones are very important. And when someone's trying to get something very specific and make these small corrections, like that one-on-one time is can be so valuable.
yeah,
But I love working with like the big group. So I think just knowing that I can come into classes and help people work toward their goals. Like I want to know what they're working toward, and so I can help them. That's what keeps me here, keeps me going, and it really does make me feel that I'm doing something so important for people and helping them more so than anything I unfortunately did as a social worker.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a very cool transition of like actual social work into something like coaching and feeling like, hey, you're actually getting to make a bigger impact coaching
Yeah.
than maybe you did when you did social work.
I mean, that education has absolutely helped me to work with all ages. I mean, I really like working with like young kids as a gymnastics coach, but all the training that I received as an undergrad in psychology and with social work, it absolutely has carried over and has helped me be a better coach.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's
Awesome.
see. What else do we got here?
I think that was it, but I maybe have an outro question for you.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it, and then you just give me the two things that come to your mind.
Okay.
If there was one food that you had to eat all the time, and there was one piece of clothing that you could never wear again, what are they? One food that you have to eat all the time, and one piece of clothing you could never wear.
That I could never wear?
Correct.
Okay, well, pizza, without a doubt, deep dish. That's going to be what I could eat every day for the rest of my life. And then when it comes, I mean, I never want to put on another gymnastics uniform again.
Ooh, okay, that was good.
No, never.
That was not what I thought you were going to say.
What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I had no idea what you were going to say.
Okay, are we asking you the same question here?
No, think of something different.
Something different. Okay. Let's see. If you had to either coach Olympic lifting only coach Olympic lifting or coaching body weight moves, push-ups, all the kind of gymnastic stuff that we do here, which one would you prefer to do?
Olympic lifting.
Why is that?
Although I love body weight stuff, I see the value in strength training, and I think that I'm gonna push Olympic lifting on neurological and strength training basis for anybody over body weight stuff.
You're gonna get all the calisthenic people now writing in.
I know they're gonna be write it in the comments. Tell me why body weight's better. Tell me
That's
why body
right.
weight's better.
Luckily, we don't have to choose though.
That's right. No, not in CrossFit. We get to do both.
That's great. Awesome. This
Cool.
has been a great opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better. And
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, I actually work for Kolby at his gym here in Oxnard, California. So this is a great opportunity for us to get to know each other a little bit better. And this has been
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to having more of these episodes, having a couple of guests on the show as well. Definitely follow us along, rate the podcast, watch us on YouTube, subscribe, whatnot. We'd love to have you guys and love to engage in some conversations with you. Comments. If you guys leave comments in anything, I will answer any comments, even if those comments are, weightlifting sucks, I want to do body weight. I'll give you a response to that.
All right. Well, we will see you next week for our first full episode. We thank you guys for joining us.
Have a good one. Here we go.
Emmanuel, that was so good. Go again.
3, 2, 1, time.